welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. We've got an interesting video that I found today. This one's going to be, and before we start, let's all just calm down, right? This isn't going to happen. Don't worry. Maybe it'll happen 20 years down the line. It is what it is. This is just a video to react to for fun. So, with that being said, let me know if you guys agree or who else you guys would recast. Because the video we're reacting to today is called Recasting Lord of the Rings for today. And we're going to be starting off with the Hobbits. I'm assuming this guy has a lot of videos regarding this type of stuff. So I'm really excited to watch this. I think this is a great idea for a video. And it's a very smart idea. Before we start, go and check out Brian Seeker and be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's as easy as that. If you enjoy my content, hit that sub button as well, but only if you want to. You never have to. Let's do this. Recasting Lord of the Rings for today. The Hobbits.
It's my favorite movie trilogy of all time.
Mine too.
Lord of the Rings. It's my favorite movie trilogy of all time. It's honestly perfect. The story, the characters, the themes, it's one of those rare moments of magic where the stars line up perfectly and the movie gods give us a masterpiece. But I'm going to try my best to recast it because that's what you guys chose and that's what you really wanted to see. But if you're new here, please check out Recasting Harry Potter, my previous series, where I actually started this. But for the record,
You're a brave man, by the way, mate. You're a brave man.
I do not want to see this trilogy remade in any way. I don't think you can improve on perfection. But as actors who became their characters to the point where I see Elijah Wood's face, I just go, that's Frodo. That being said, it doesn't always directly line up with the books. And obviously some material needs to get cut, as all adaptations do, so we're going to look at Lord of the Rings from a different perspective. I'd like to see it as a TV series where we can really show off the characters and what they have to offer, and give their storylines time to breathe. Now, Amazon is obviously creating a Lord of the Rings series, but it's set in a different age, meaning different characters. But who knows, we might actually be revisiting these characters in a couple seasons down the road, if there was a massive time jump. As it did in the past, there will be parts to this series. Harry Potter was a little bit more clear-cut with a book apart in the series, but for Lord of the Rings, I'm going to divide it up because I really want to talk about the characters and my choices with more length. So we will be seeing parts. Today we're only talking about the Hobbits, but don't worry, in the next video I will get to the rest of the Fellowship. Now I spent hours and hours of going through pages and pages of actors, and I found it extremely hard to land on a choice for every single one of these characters. I did try to cast actors who are on the shorter side, similar to the Jackson trilogy, because it would help with the proportions when shrinking them down.
I've already got one, by the way. Easy. Tyrion from Game of Thrones. Easy. But who would he play? He'd have to play the smartest Hobbit because he plays that role so well. Probably Sam? I think he could do either Merry or Pippin. I don't think he could do Frodo. Could he? No, I don't think it's Frodo. Frodo's impossible to... I don't know who could do Frodo. I think I'd go with Tyrion, though, as one of the Hobbits. I mean, it's an easy choice, right? He's a... you know... How do you say it without being offensive? You know, he's not tall. Well done, Omar. So, you know, that's quite an easy choice. But I think it'd be a really... Even if he was tall, you know, I think it'd be a brilliant choice in my opinion. Such a good actor.
So I did try and avoid larger actors, meaning everyone should be 5'9" or shorter. Also, other than Frodo, I tried to go with actors that really don't have roles attached to their faces. People who are a little bit less known and can really grow into the character.
That's smart.
So without further ado, let's recast Lord of the Rings.
These guys are brave, man. I'm down though. I'm so down for this.
Now, with recasting Lord of the Rings, we just can't recreate Peter Jackson's version. There's really no point in doing that. Rather, we need to switch it up, look at it from a different perspective, and really dive into the source material for inspiration. One of the biggest things and differences when it comes to the Hobbits in the books is the difference in their characterizations and especially in their age. It's worth noting that the aging of Hobbits doesn't exactly mesh up with humans. I read somewhere that Hobbits come to age around 30, as opposed to the belief in our society that it's 18, meaning that the ages of the Hobbits aren't really exact, and their maturity in their appearance should appear a little bit younger. That being said, at the beginning of our adventure, Frodo is actually 51 years old, meaning as wonderful as Elijah Wood's performance was, he was extremely young to portray the character. He was actually 18 in the first movie when filming. They made it seem like Frodo was the youngest and least experienced, when actually the opposite is the case. Frodo is by far the oldest of the hobbits, more than 20 years seniors to the majority of the other hobbits.
I disagree, though. I think he, out of the 4 hobbits, he came across as probably the most mature. It's between him and Sam. Sam was extremely emotional, which doesn't mean, you know, you're a very young age or anything like that, but I disagree with that quote. I think he came across as a mature hobbit.
The next oldest is Merry at 37, which means Frodo can be portrayed very differently than we saw in the films. Also, I do have a little bit of a quarrel with how Frodo is perceived, especially in the later half of the trilogy. He always ends up being that damsel in distress. He largely relies on others, and he never really holds his own. I want a Frodo who, yes, is older.
No, but it's because of the ring. It's because of the ring. Like, he's all his strength has been sapped. Like, he has no power. All he has is beautiful eyes.
But one who's more wise and can hold himself together. He can carry the weight of the ring because of his strength of character. That's why I went with James McAvoy. He is more of a household name than I would like.
That's a good choice, man. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I did not expect James McAvoy to be announced. Well done. I can see that.
He fits the character wonderfully. He's 40 years old, which would work perfectly with the more wise Frodo we're going for, and he really has the acting chops. I can see him having fun in the Shire, but more importantly, and I think more important to the character, is that darker turn, and how we can see the character evolve throughout the series. McAvoy would really knock that out of the park.
What did you say? You hit me, Bruce! You're gonna hit me, Bruce! Yeah?
Now, I think it'd be a good Frodo, as you do.
Oh, my darling, I'm sorry.
You sicken me.
It is worth noting he is 5'7", which is short enough to play a hobbit. With McAvoy, we could see that different side of the character, one who's more capable.
That's a great shout. Well done.
One who's more wise, and one who is the senior of the group. So James McAvoy as Frodo Baggins.
Never mind.
Now, Samwise was difficult.
I can imagine.
Probably the most difficult of the Hobbits form.
Yeah.
Because Sean Astin's performance may be the best of the entire trilogy.
It is.
Either him or Viggo. It is worth mentioning that Sam is in his 30s in the books, meaning his dynamic is a little bit different with Frodo than we see in the movies. They are portrayed as best friends from the beginning, rather than a master-servant relationship, which is more true to the books. That's why we constantly see Sam regarding Frodo as Mr. Frodo. It's clear that Frodo is in a role of authority, and although Sam is proud to work for him, and they are friends, it's not like the films. They eventually get there, but it's a path and a journey to break down that social barrier and become the best friends that we actually see. This would allow for some really powerful moments in the series, meaning casting a younger actor not only makes sense, but it's important for the arc. Sam is a tough character to cast because it's all about his energy. He just keeps on giving, and he has a heart that doesn't stop, and he never gives up. Although it isn't a typical choice, but I think Dean Charles Chapman would fall into the role quite well. He has that sweet nature
no idea
to
who
him.
that is. Wait, is that what's his name? Out of Game of Thrones? Cersei's son?
That we've seen in a couple of his characters.
Yeah, it is.
When I saw him in 1917, I saw glimmers of Sam peeking through.
Have some of mine.
I've never seen that.
I wish I'd shot that rat now. But I wish you'd picked some other bloody idiot. What? Why in God's name did you have to choose me? I didn't know what I was picking you for. No, you didn't. You never know. That's your problem.
Which one is he? On the right?
All right, then go back. Nothing's stopping you. You can go all the way bloody home if you want. Don't. Just don't. I didn't know what I was picking you for. I thought they were going to send us back up the line or for food or something. I thought it was going to be something easy. All right? I never thought it would be this.
Now, he is only 22, which is a little bit younger than I would like, but I can really see that
see him
energy,
as Sam.
and I could see him leaning into that interesting dynamic with James McAvoy. It would give Sam's arc a little bit more of an interesting perspective, him being more of a servant and a lot younger than Frodo, evolving into a best friend and a confidant. So Dean Charles Chapman as Samwise Gamgee. So there's my Frodo and Sam.
I prefer James McAvoy. I don't know. Who would I pick as Sam? I think Tyrion could do that. Maybe Tyrion would be a better Frodo.
On to Merry and Pippin. The films portrayed them as pranksters and a little bit more of a comic relief than originally intended in the books. Merry is actually a lot more wise and far older than Pippin in the books. He's actually 37 while Pippin is 29. We kind of always just lump them together because they were goofballs who got stolen and eventually took over Isengard. Instead, I want to make them their own characters a little bit more and not have them be defined as one stereotype. Now, Merry is different in the books, and we actually see him come up with a plan to get them to Bree. My first initial thought when it comes to Merry is I kind of want to make him a badass. It would come in nicely in the later seasons when Merry takes the turn to fight, but I want to see him as a strong, passionate hobbit who stands up for himself. That's why I see Ben Schnetzer in the role. If you've seen him in the movie Pride before, you'd know why.
What are you going to do now?
Stay here.
And do what? And get a job down the pit. That's all they need, a trained pastry chef with a camera. When are you going to get some guts, huh? You're a member of LGSM, Bromley, so stop sneaking out of your mammy's house in the dead of night and stand up for yourself. Have some pride.
If I'm being honest, Merry is actually my least favorite of the four hobbits, and I think Ben could help change that. He has the attitude and that drive and the strength of character to really make me root for him and really make the character his own. So Ben Schnetzer as Meriadoc Brandybuck.
Interesting. I like how he's changing their
As for Pippin,
character.
he is 29, and he's the youngest of the hobbits, but by far he's the most immature. He's compared similarly to a teenager, and I want to give that feel, not only in comic relief, but in uncertainty. He's supposed to be foolish, and I really want to lean into that.
Fool of a took.
That's why I want Craig Roberts to play the role. I first saw him in a wonderful little indie movie called Submarine, and I noticed his talent right away. His acting, just with his face, perfectly depicts a teenager role. While I've been following his career for a while, he hasn't really had a role to show what he can do.
Look, why don't you and your son just pick out something from our gift shop?
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation here.
Wait a sec, you think we're father and son?
We came to see a giant cow. We're going to see a giant cow.
I mean, what about the different accents? Does that not bother you?
Look, here's a postcard.
Postcard? You think that's gonna solve this? What are you, working with lead-based paint?
Hey, what the f? That's mine.
He looks far younger than any of the actors I've cast, and much more innocent. He's also 5'6", which is the shortest actor I've cast in a Hobbit role, which would help lean into that innocent, younger side of the character. I want to see Craig Roberts bring this character from foolish teenager to a full-fledged, confident Hobbit. So Craig Roberts as Peregrine Took.
He's the one who probably looks the most like he'd fit in. Damn,
As for the last
interesting
Hobbit we
choices.
have in a major role, we have Bilbo Baggins. It's his
Well, what about Smeagol? I thought he was gonna count as a Hobbit.
111th birthday when we start the series, but Bilbo doesn't seem like he's 111.
Bilbo. Who would I get as Bilbo? I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. Thing is, I don't watch a lot of movies, so I'm trying to think of movies back in the day. Nah, I have no idea. I have no idea. Don't know.
As Gandalf said,
You have laid stir.
which is true, the film series doesn't really dive into it, but Bilbo stopped aging.
I mean, you could
at the
just use
moment
the
he
same
got
one
the
as-
ring. It definitely changed him within, but didn't change his age. Meaning, although we're dealing with a Hobbit who's 111, he should appear far, far younger. So young, in fact, that it should be alarming to Gandalf. Bilbo has a small role, but one that needs comedy and timing. He has a spring in his step and a certain disposition. That's why I think Tom Hollander would do wonderfully in the role.
He looks
He
familiar.
is 51 years old, which would work well when Bilbo found the ring, but he has a comedy background and the right energy for the character.
Oh, I would like to make a toast to the lovers. The perfect pairing. Beauty and elegance entwined. Let no man tear them asunder.
He is also 5'5", which would work really well. So Tom Hollander as Bilbo Baggins. So there are all the hobbits from Lord
Not
of the
bad.
Rings.
My favorite choice was James McAvoy.
I know technically Smeagol's a hobbit too, but I will be tackling him in a different episode. And if
Thank
you'd like
you.
to see how James McAvoy might look in the role of Frodo, head over to a channel called Azart, who have been following my recast and doing deepfakes of them. Please stay tuned for next episode when we tackle.
What the hell? What's the channel called?
Azart, who have been following my So there are all the hobbits from Lord of the Rings. I know technically Smeagol's a hobbit too, but I will be tackling him in a different episode. And if you'd like to see how James McAvoy might look in the role of Frodo, head over to a channel called Azart, who have been following my recasts and doing deepfakes of them. Please stay tuned for next episode when we tackle the rest of the Fellowship.
Ooh. I don't know what you do there. I mean, obviously, you know, Ian McKellen, you just go Michael Gambon, right? You just get Dumbledore. Nah, you can't. You can't. He's right in saying that you can't get an actor that is known for that role, right? So, you know, you wouldn't be able to get Michael Gambon because, you know, you just look at him and think Dumbledore. You wouldn't be able to get, what's his name? The guy who plays Professor X. Because you know, he's Professor X or Star Trek guy. Tom Hardy could be a good Aragorn, but maybe not. I think Tom Hardy would be a great Boromir, actually. Yeah, I think Tom Hardy would be a great Boromir. I still think Tyrion should have been one of these guys. Maybe Tyrion would be Pippin. I don't know. Legolas. I think Legolas is probably the easiest. No hate on Orlando Bloom, but he was more action orientated. Like, he wasn't really acting a lot. That sounds like I'm dissing him, but you guys know what I mean. I mean that in the kindest way. Like, who would I get as Legolas? Maybe someone like Henry Cavill, but he's The Witcher. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the comments are. Frodo deepfake. Oh, there we go. I have to check that out. That was really cool, though. I fully admit I'm not a Tolkien historian, so please take what I say with a grain of salt, but enjoy the vid nonetheless. Martin Freeman was a perfect Bilbo. He should reprise his role. No, you guys aren't getting... You guys aren't getting the perfect... Oh, one sec. Is Martin Freeman the guy who... Oh, okay. So he means the one out of The Hobbit. Okay. Sorry, I thought Martin Freeman was the guy who was actually Bilbo. Yeah, please don't be this guy in the comments. Like, we're not saying that. This is just a fun video to react to. Don't be the guy who's like, no, Lord of the Rings is perfect. It doesn't need touching. We get that, mate. We get that. It's just a video reaction. It's just all fun. Do you know what I mean? I know most of you aren't, but like, there are 10% of people who are just... They keep telling me how to live my life regarding Lord of the Rings. It's like, bro, you need to read the books. You can't do this without reading the books. It's like, mate, I get it, but nobody wants me to just watch a book and be like, oh yeah. That's not going to be fun for anyone on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys saying that, but just stop telling me how to live my life. I'm doing it this way, whether you like it or not. Sorry, I've had a lot of comments recently. It's just been like, bro, you need to read the books. What are you doing, man? It's like, come on, man. Just let me live my life. You done it your way. I'm doing it my way. Quick Lord tip. Because Frodo had the ring, he still like he would look. Ah, okay. That's smart. I went with actors who aren't well known. James McAvoy. He did actually say I went with actors who aren't well known except for Frodo. I think James McAvoy is a brilliant shout for Frodo. I really do. I agree. The music, man. The Frodo music. The Hobbit music. I never want a remake. We'll never get a better version. Oh, God, man. So cringe. Oh, Tom Holland would be a great shout. Good point. The guy who played Spider-Man. Ah, but he's a big name. Okay, try to avoid bigger names. Yeah, I get that. I'd love you guys, right? This is what I want in the comments. Tell me what you think of the video, obviously. Positive or negative. Let me know what you guys think. It doesn't have to be all 4. Just if you've got an actor at the tip of your tongue that you think would be really good in the you know, in this situation, I'd love to see what you guys think. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe to the channel.